Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday Culture Review. I am so glad everybody is here. We've got a very special guest to share with you today, somebody who makes some really cool content, a Doctor Who fan, and a creative in just the most wonderful way. It's Mr. Dan Headley from the Spacebook. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Glad to make it here at last. Yeah. We've spoken a little bit about this over the last few weeks. The stars and the time streams, they finally aligned, didn't they?
That's right. That's right. Interesting question posed, I think, yesterday was, what if there was a new doctor? What if there was a different doctor? I think.
Who on earth would ask a question like that, Culture?
I don't know.
Some kind of reprobate.
Some wild person on the internet. Yeah, it would be you, actually. I think you got some responses to that one as well, but it was a lot of fun. But no, Dan's well known for what he does. He's got some great shows. In fact, I'm going to bring up your little display item now.
Wow.
Dan, tell everybody what you do, because I'm not sure everybody here is going to know. I'm going to make this full screen. There we go.
Yes, right. I run a YouTube channel called The Space Book, where I put out podcasts and live streams, which is similar to what you guys do. So it's not a Doctor Who channel, but Doctor Who is my main field of interest. Yeah. So I talk to people about Doctor Who, whether they are other fans just like me and maybe like you too, or if they're people involved in the show or the intellectual property. So we've had people on from BBC Studios, from the Blu-ray range, from Big Finish, all those places connected with Doctor Who, the classic show and the new show, and lots of great guests coming up. I'm interviewing somebody else tomorrow, in fact. Can't wait to do that. Get that out later in the week. So we make two shows. There's Type 40, which is a Doctor Who podcast that goes out across all major podcatchers. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those places. You can go and get that. And it's a traditional podcast. It's edited. It even sounds professional sometimes. So it's all edited together beautifully, and it's all out there. So there's that. And then there's Type 40 Live, which we do every Thursday, myself and a group of renegade time. I think all get together live on YouTube for a couple of hours every Thursday, and it goes wherever it goes. So we pull up some news stories, we talk about merchandise, and we have big discussions. And sometimes we do argue. It's not an echo chamber. That's what I really like about the shows that we put out, is that we disagree quite a lot, which is I think quite refreshing in the Doctor Who community, because it's very divided at the moment. If you go on Twitter, you may have noticed. So Doctor Who is kind of divided into the two camps. We try and bring through all sorts of opinions onto the show, and we get together and we thrash it all out, and bathe in the nostalgia, really, of when Doctor Who was good, and hopefully it will be again. But that's another story.
Well, I have to say I appreciate you being on, and I will say this out loud. I enjoyed every opportunity I had to be hanging out with you on your show, because I've had the great privilege of doing that a couple of times.
Yeah, well, you were on the other show, because we don't just do the Doctor Who shows. Right. Twice a week, I do a show that's just called the Spacebook Live, where we kind of get together like this. There's myself. There's a bloke called Ian David Diaz. He's just some guy. I don't know where he came from.
Never heard of him.
He's on there, along with my friend Matt Part, who's from Tasmania, down under, and Chris from Cultivated Media, who used to go by the name Bowles Trek Online. So he's there too. Yeah, so they're my regular panel on Saturdays, and we've got the wonderful Andy who joins us on Wednesdays. So that's on twice a week, and we talk about whatever big movie, TV, comic book stories are floating around out there. We pull them out of the thin air, and we kick them around a little bit, have a chat, And yeah, that's all good too. So there's still the two big shows that we do.
Well, like you said, the opportunities I've had to hang out with you guys and just of course, catching your show when I can, any of them, to be honest with you, it's always a good time. But yes, do check out the Space Book. The link is in the description. I made sure to put that there right away.
Thank you very much.
You bet, and do check it out. Now, I have to say, you're right. The Doctor Who community is quite divided, but I would say pretty much everything right now is when it comes to entertainment's divided. Do you agree?
Largely, I'd agree. I think some are more divided than others. Yeah. I think some are more aggressive than others. But yes, there is a divide in most of the franchises. I would agree with that.
Yeah, and that's a real shame. It used to be a unifying force because we could argue about, the outcomes or the situations in our favorite programs and films. Yeah. And that was fine, and at the end of the day, you still had
fun.
Yeah,
it was fun even.
Yeah.
We would compare takes and we'd disagree. The same, I disagree with Ian DS quite a lot. And that's part of where some of the comedy, some of the banter comes from when we make these shows together, because his take is so drastically different to mine. Whereas other people that we have on the panels, there are areas in which we share a lot of the same instincts and sentiments. And we like some of the same things, but there's subtle differences. So I like comparing with people like that from all over the world, different age groups, different frames of mind. What do they call it? Diversity of thought. That was the expression I hear. It's gone terribly out of fashion culture. I don't know if you've noticed this.
That's an awful shame, but and I agree with you. But we have yet to introduce the balance of the panel, so we'll get to that, and then we'll talk at the end of a little bit about Dan once again, so that you guys can get familiar with his channel if you're not already. So, and right below Dan is the one of the longest time panelists I've ever had. It's AFK Bard. How are you doing, AFK?
Hey. You already know who I am, so let's just move on. I'm just happy to hang, guys.
You are the worst at promoting yourself. It is so lovely. All right. Well, right next to AFK, of course, is our very own Makini from Makini Draws. Makini's doing some stuff over on his channel, so you're gonna have to start.
We're back. Yeah, we are officially back after 5 weeks. We're officially back on Makini Live, and I'll do my promo for it once I step out. Yeah. But so here we go. We got a little bit of Rebecca here from Edge Runner. So
that is amazing.
Plus, I got this. I found this on my. I found this showed up at my house. I thought it'd be worth sharing. I don't know what this is, but I wonder if you guys can ask me what this is here.
What is this?
Oh, way.
And lucky, you know what? This is the signed. I got the signed copies. That's Eric July. Young Rippa. Yes, I got ISOM #1 signed copy. I will definitely read the hell out of this. And I might do a whole Makini Live just talking about it.
So good.
I think you should, and I want you be sure you wear gloves when you take that out.
Yes. I wash my hands first.
Okay. No oil on that.
Hand sanitizer to read.
Exactly. I want it pristine, baby.
Look at that book, man. Yes. That is just beautiful.
And signed. It is his signature right there. So I am so happy to have ISOM #1.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, Mock. I haven't gotten mine yet. I'm waiting on the post. Hopefully tomorrow.
Gotcha.
Yeah. A lot of people
doesn't like to gloat.
Yeah, well, sorry. It's all right. I ordered a big bundle of stuff, so we'll see what happens when I get my big bundle of stuff. But,
I see everybody in the chat is like, I'm jealous.
Yeah, they're
so jealous.
Yeah. We got a lot of folks that got the book, and we'll get to all of them. In fact, we have the Mirasphere's Origin and Minisphere here this morning. How are you doing today?
Good, guys. How's it going?
All right. Well, I'm glad you could join us. Are you getting smaller, or is your room getting bigger? What's happening?
My stupid chair keeps shrinking down.
Oh, all right.
I got like a gaming chair. For some reason, it's like if you just move it just a little bit back, it goes. Whoop. So it's like,
wow. All right. Well, that's
I never want to stay, but yeah.
Well, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here, my friend. Of course, Mirasphere is also an author and has a book. He will tell you at the end of the stream to buy his book. So be prepared for that, everyone. But ISOM looks amazing. We'll get to that in just a moment. But let's say hi. Let's say hi to the folks in the chat because we didn't properly do that yet. We got Dr. Dragon out there. Yeah, Curtis D. Good to see you, Curtis. We've got our good friend, your Muslim uncle. Assalamu alaikum, my friend.
Hey.
The Common Nerd is hanging out with us. Good to see you. We've got KRNet82. There's Shellbach. Maybe Shellbach will join us at some point in the future.
Hello, Shellbach.
He's going to get his copy, but then he'll join us.
Yeah, I bet. Jillian is here. Hi, Jillian. Thank you for all your support. She supports so many channels, and I appreciate your support here directly. And I like the term culture rights. I like that. I'm settling into that quite nicely. And then there's
men and women of culture.
That's right. We have the lovely Tina Bojan, who was guaranteeing you quality content indeed. Southern Viking is here. Great to see you. Hunch the Dirty Roofer is giving me another suggestion of the greatest beer run ever. I will be checking that out. Let's see. I've been writing stuff down. People have been sending me stuff. Plus, I've got all this Indian cinema to review now because there's even more that's become available this month on the various platforms. So I've got to go out and do some more reviews of some great Indian films. We've got Floral. What's up, Floral? We got I think I already did Shellbach. There's Mutant Bamhammer, says Oyos, all my boyos, indeed. Rugo Beta is here. This is fun. It's like Mouseketeer roll call. We got a Polymies Minion. What's up, Polymies? Marby Dog is here. We got Low Spec Linux Laptop. Wow, you brought an audience with you, Dan. We got Larry.
I do know my Muslim uncle, but I don't know anybody else. They're all new names to me. But
oh, well, good. I hope they join and check out your channel. I would love them to because your content's great. I can't say enough. I love the panels, like I said. But Larry is here. Larry's a name so nice.
So you have to say it twice.
Right. Hey. Jerry's here. What's up, Jerry? We got a few other folks popping in as well. I think everybody freaked out when they saw Rebecca, by the way. So we'll have to make sure that people get to see that while you're working on it still. Sean Landergan is here. He got his copy of the book yesterday. I think a couple other people did as well. Isom looks like a cross between Spider-Man and Captain America. I think that's kind of the aesthetic that maybe he was going for, but I love the character look for sure. Daryl's here. What's up, Daryl the Derelict? It's been a minute. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Hope your channel's doing well. Got a lot of great creators here. Let me tell you, we got Nearsighted Cyclops in the house and a few other folks. And of course, Mirasphere just dropped the link to his book, so do check that out as well. And of course, one of the amazing wrenches on all of YouTube that travels all of YouTube and wrenches away is Lord Thoth. Good to see you, my friend. All right. Well, we rounded out Mouseketeer roll call. And now we can get started with the show.
All right.
So let's talk a little bit about ISOM. It wasn't on the subject list for today, but
I'll put this back on.
Just for
there you go. There you go. I'll put it right here.
This particular book really has caused a stir.
Don't you love it?
It's really amazing. I mean, do you remember what his sales ended up at for the book? I think it was 3.5 million, 3.7 million.
Yeah, it was like 3.5 last time I saw it was 3.5 million.
Right, like and if you look in terms of just comic book analytics, it's like it would be over at least 50K. It would be at least in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean he has total purchasers were 42,926, so it's darn close to it's over 40,000 purchasers. That's a lot. The campaign earned $3.73 million, $3,737,920. So it did very, very well. And I have to. Yeah, everybody's like, I want mine. I know, so do I, Aaron.
Mine goes tomorrow.
We got
so you can see the logo.
Yeah, we got Luke here. Yeah, but look isn't that beautiful? That is just beautiful.
I had to get the signature copy. I immediately had to get the signature copy.
It kind of broke like the whole idea that nobody wants to buy comics, right? It kind of broke. It broke the back of the argument that you can't make new things and people will buy it.
I've always wanted to buy a comic, but the problem for me is that I've always been intimidated by long-running series because I don't want to just like jump in. So I'm actually really excited about this because not only do I get to support like a super awesome creator, but actually get to start from the beginning.
Literally from ground zero. What I love about what Eric's achieved with this is that, just as you said, Culture, he anticipated the silliness and the questions, the disingenuous arguments that were going to be directed in
all over Twitter
and his product.
Oh yeah, and about race too. Apparently,
and he's so offensive that he has an ad for his wife's personal actual business that she created.
Tiny ad.
Oh my gosh, so offensive.
Well, you see that one chick?
There's no black women in the book. Yeah. This.
You see the one chick on Twitter attacking him for the line that goes down the binding. I'm like, have you never seen a book? Every book has a line that goes down the thing. It's where the stitching and all the pages go.
I'm going to need to save a slot on my shelf for when hopefully he releases the ISOM omnibus down the line, because I would love to get it. I would get every issue plus an omnibus.
Right. Yeah.
For me, Mac. Go ahead. For me, Eric has been and I've been reading American comic books now for nearly 40 years. For me, Eric July has always been the comic books voice on YouTube. He's the guy I'd go to hear the opinions that are worth hearing. There's a couple more. Thinking Critical, I rate that channel too.
Wes.
But in particular, Eric.
Boy, Zach.
and so to see him, Mac, behind a project like this, and to see him come out swinging so confidently
and with money where his mouth is.
A quality product, not just talking the talk, walking the walk as well, and telling them all to sit the F back down.
Sit your ass down.
Inspirational stuff.
It is.
Well, and to add to that, and Dan, that's brilliant insight, but to add to that, he took what other creators were doing similar. I mean, we can't ignore the things that EVS has accomplished with Cyberfrog and everything else.
No, not at all.
And he did it all instead of utilizing somebody else's infrastructure or whatever. And I know that Ethan's working on that as well. But instead of using somebody else's infrastructure, he created his own from the ground up. That he was so committed to this and to its success that he spent a great deal of his own money to get this where it needed.
Penny back.
Yeah,
conviction, integrity, self-belief, and faith. And as you say, Ethan's also a hero of mine. What he's achieved is extraordinary. Eric has taken that baton and really ran with it. And it's just wonderful to see it succeed, and to see it sat there on your cutting mat there, Mac, with your artwork, and those colours popping like that. That character is going to be important.
Even through the fort.
It's just beautiful. I've always loved Cliff Richard's work anyway, but it just looks extraordinary.
Yeah, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything like this book out there now.
No.
So I feel like it was destined to be something that everybody would want to consume. A unique character, kind of a reluctant hero. I mean, this is kind of what you're looking for.
For this is story. And go ahead. Sorry. On top of that, is this is inspiring, because this is inspiring to myself and to so many people who want to get a book out, who want to be able to put a book out, like Miosphere, like Eric, like Fatal, who had Ninja Blast last year, with so many people, so these amazing people who are getting comics out and getting books out. It's damn. And people keep asking me, where's Makini's book? Where's this?
That's a good question. We have so many talented people.
You do my art book, man. I'm just saying.
I know.
We've got of course people in our chat that are artists, and obviously Makini's here, and apparently Dan does some of that as well. But we've got quite a few artists, and I like I said, it's so easy to promote everybody's work, because everybody is producing a high quality, and it's not hard to support it buying books. I've got a whole bunch of comics over here. I even went out and made sure I got the first Florida Man comic, and I'm waiting on the second one. Of course,
hold on one second. I'm trying to do this without doxing myself.
I haven't heard of this one. I haven't heard of Florida Man. I have to go and look this out.
Yeah.
I can't go a little further, but what you're seeing, that top shelf is basically every single book that I've backed since like 2017, 2018.
Good man.
So you can see those two big ones. Yes, that is Nerium's. That is both of Nerium's. Nerium and Red Gaze's books there. Yeah, I kept the box. You see Common America. You can see a lot of the CG books, Ethan's books and stuff. I collect a lot of books, no matter who it is. That top shelf is reserved for every book I've basically backed since.
Where's my book? I don't see my book up there. Where's my?
Okay, don't even start.
Comic though. But it's very thick,
Yeah.
No pictures, unfortunately.
Curtis D's giving Dan a hard time. Can you please speak English? I can't understand you. Yeah, right.
Sorry, Curtis.
He's speaking the Queen's English. Yes, absolutely.
Received the King's English.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's right.
Gosh, gotta change our colloquialism.
Long live the King, everybody.
There you go.
Long live the King.
It's good to know that the Ascension actually works, by the way. The continuation. But yeah, let's. Well, you know what? We got to dive into that, and I think we can all say that ISOM's going to be. It's going to be praised as quite the success, and I think the second comic will be equally as successful, if not more so.
And I look forward to the proper Rippaverse film adaptation of this.
Indeed,
actual proper one.
We've got groups here. We've got group of guys here in the States between Clobbering Times, Nick, 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser, and Loki. Yeah, they all know their books too. We've got a very large comic community, comics community that I think is wonderful. And like I said, if you need all of these people have encyclopedic knowledge that I don't have. Right, I'm somewhat of a fan of certain books in particular runs, but I would not say in any way that I am a comics expert. So
it amazes me what Mike from Clobbering Times knows. It just blows my mind how, as you say, encyclopedic.
Yeah,
it is. I'm gonna have him back on Machiny Live, and my co-host Bruce suggested we just do like a one-on-one, which is me and Klobby. Just go straight comic talk.
Yeah, top guy.
Gary would be a good one to talk to too, since he owned a comic book store.
Yeah, I heard that Gary owned a comic book store,
and it was in the city that I work at too. So it's in the backyard.
All right, we'll move on. We'll move on to a couple of subjects. There's only a couple for today because we're going to keep this short because Machiny's starting up his streams again, and we want to make sure we support him today. So we're going to jump on over to a story that I think Drunk 3PO covered either the last couple days. Maybe it was on his live stream yesterday. I'm not sure. Days are running into each other now, folks. When
they are
doing this much YouTube and regular work.
Plus culture gets the pleasure of knowing that daylight savings time is about to end. So that's just gonna throw everyone's schedule off.
All of my show times are going to be subject to change. That's probably the best way to describe it. But in fact, I think this was a requested article as well. So we'll take a look at it. It's one that I'd been through. We'll talk about it real quick. But apparently, and I don't know, Dan, have you been watching She-Hulk? Have you seen this show?
Have I been watching She-Hulk? Do I look like I've got time to waste on crap like that? No. Honest answer, I did watch episode 1. I love the original character of She-Hulk right from the 80s when she was in the Fantastic. I was there reading Secret Wars where she joined the Fantastic Four. I read all of that run with John Byrne, then onto her solo series and the West Coast Avengers, all that stuff. And so I felt a certain investment in this character. And I was a little worried about the casting. I didn't think that Tatiana Maslany was right for it. Turns out that she probably was, but it's just the show itself is absolutely awful.
It is.
That's the most polite way to put it.
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it because one, I just don't have the time for it, and two, I probably got better things to watch, and 3, and this is the most important thing. The misandry is just going into overdrive, and I'm just getting sick of it. Not just in here, but in other shows as well. In fact, a couple weeks ago, I got so riled up on She-Hulk that I had to do an entire video about it. Thank you, Culture.
Hand on my heart, though, guys, I did intend on watching episode 2. I wasn't going to bail. I thought it could get better. But then I spoke to a couple of other friends. There's a YouTuber called The Rabbi from Another Planet, who's a good friend of mine, and he was watching it all. And the more that he told me about it, and I heard other people speak about it, I thought, no, you've got to draw the line somewhere. I'm not going to do this to myself. And if we carry on watching this stuff and talking about it, then we only have ourselves to blame if they continue to make more of it. That's how I look at it. It just looks with every progressive week that goes on, people are telling me how bad it is, and I see other content makers pulling their hair out. I'm so glad I bailed when I did, because I've been able to focus on other shows that I actually like.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. We should be supporting the shows that we like. I think if everybody were to follow the rule of thumb that I have, which is you watch 3 episodes, and if it's not good, you stop.
Yeah, I intended on giving it 3. Yeah, but I didn't in the end.
I don't blame you, right? Because the show's rough. I mean, I think Tatiana Maslany is an incredible actress. I mean, a lot of people would argue with me, but I don't think the casting was wrong. But I just think the tone of the show, the writing is poor. There are many other problems with the show, right? And of course, Makini,
the male bashing was really grating here.
A wine mom
just hurt. It's just like it just turns me off completely.
Well, and again, you're talking about a character that in you actually mentioned it, Dan. The Burn Run, and it started in '89, was like the definitive run for this character, in my opinion. So, but anyway, we'll set that aside and just talk about this article, because She-Hulk manages to outperform Andor's series premiere.
What?
Yeah,
I'm not
really?
surprised. I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised, despite the fact that I've actually heard good things about Andor. I've actually heard it's one of the best of the Disney Plus Star Wars shows, in fact.
Well, but here's the thing, though. It's like there are a lot of people who have like just sworn off Star Wars entirely, but there are also a lot of people who are watching, and there are a lot of people who are just watching She-Hulk to do their reviews and make fun of it. And I legit think that a lot of the people watching it are watching it to make reviews and make fun of it. Mm-hmm. So, like, I feel like that's why there was more people watching it than Andor, because like Andor is kind of just like a lot of people just shut that door.
Yeah, Chris Gore got to see the first 4 episodes, and you're right. Maybe all at once the first 4 episodes of She-Hulk were good, but after that point, it did fall off substantially. Right now. Okay, there's 9 episodes, I believe, of She-Hulk. Once we get through the 9th episode, the boss and I are going to do a review, because we did the first 2 episodes and just she could not bring herself to do more. So, yeah. So that
I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but honestly, no. And look, a lot of people have the attitude, and it's perfectly fine to say, Andor is boring, a bit of racism, but it's not garbage. Well, it's so far that's what I've heard. Again, I have no frame of reference, because I was asked if I was going to watch this by Andre over at Midnight's Edge, and I'm like, no.
Who is asking for a show on Cassian Andor? Out of all the characters, I just wonder. It's like,
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, this is the problem, though. If it's like, well, I don't hate Andor. Yeah, I hear you, Rogue Attraction, and I'm glad you survived the hurricane, my friend.
Yes.
But I get that. But just because you don't hate something, or you don't, it's not awful, it still doesn't make it, worth watching.
It's kind of like it's like this old additive that sometimes the worst thing is bad is boring. Like, because sometimes with bad you can actually have something to talk about, but if it's something where it's just like nothing to talk about, then sometimes that's worse.
Yeah, and this was the worst thing anybody that's writing a show could have said about Andor.
Oh yeah.
That Mon Mothma is going to be Nancy Pelosi, and we're not doing politics here today.
No, we're not.
So I'll just say that I'm not sure that's the kind of like parallel.
I don't think that's a selling point.
Yeah,
I was like, I might check it out. Oh, this character's like Nancy. Oh, I'm done.
Yeah, this is true. Rogue Attraction. That's why everybody on YouTube is a lot more popular. Like folks like Dan and Gary and other amazing humans out there that have, you know, a lot to say because they have a lot of experience with the things they talk about and are far more entertaining than what we're being presented in shows. Which is why, again, we were just talking about ISOM. You know, that's creating culture. We need to do that.
Well, have you noticed that this is something that people on, and I suspect that I'm amongst people who are mostly on the same aisle of this culture war that I am, and I do find that when I speak to people who are minded as we are, we tend to be pretty creative people. We're either artists like Mac, myself, creatives like the gentleman at the bottom who I forgot the name of. I'm ever so sorry. He's obviously a writer. Yeah, hello, yeah, yeah, so a writer. You know, culture. I know that you're creative. AFK Bar's a cool customer, I know, but I'm quite creative too. I think
you're creative too.
Enigmatic. So, but this is something that I feel that we share in common, and we can. You know, we see these cultural icons getting torn down, getting turned inside out, and used as weapons against us. And so, how do we respond? We go and we do what Eric's done. We do what Mac's doing right now. We create, we build our own worlds, we build our own communities and audiences and create new intellectual properties and tell new stories. That is something that people on the other side of the aisle, they cannot do because they've only got 2 stories to tell anyway, and they can't do it unless they're destroying something else at the same time or deconstructing something else at the same time.
Wow. Yeah. I think the thing that worries everybody, and I think the thing that I think even in the chat they called out, that it's now noticeable to everyone. Everybody is noticing the changes, the corruption, the tearing down, as you just described it, of all of these things. It can't be missed, and you whether or not you're on one side of this discussion or the other, you can't argue that it's being done willfully. And that's kind of a form of evil, I would think. Mm-hmm. But that's a little bit harsh and maybe judgmental. But that's just my take on it. I don't know. Right. And I didn't mean to lead us off because you made a brilliant point there. But my thoughts on Elizabeth Olsen as an actress. I think I did this the other day, Jordan Lee. I think that she's okay. I don't know that she has a whole lot of range. She's never outright been bad in anything I've seen. I thought her performance in the first 2 or 3 episodes of WandaVision was excellent. This last film performance wasn't so great in Strange Mom.
She is hands down my favorite of the Olsen triplets.
My issue with her character in Marvel though is just like she was never she never's flushed out, you know, like you see her, she's like a supporting character who randomly gets to do things in the movies. And then in the TV show, if you think about it, the entire like 3/4 of it, she's not even being herself. So we're not actually even getting to know her. It's just like her dream world, perfect self. And then at the very end, she goes crazy. And then there's a movie. So it's like, I've never felt attached to her in any way whatsoever.
And that sucks because, like, to me, yeah, her best performances was in Age of Ultron and Civil War.
And yeah, and she barely did anything.
God, I never thought of it like that. But you're absolutely right. You've summed that up perfectly. I feel exactly the same way.
Yeah, and I think, Dan, I think you'd agree with John Gibson here. I think it's all kind of what we're saying. Hollywood needs to understand we just want to enjoy their work and don't care what they think about anything. And if they just do that, we get back to where we have a little bit of escapism and
give us a good time.
Yeah, please. I mean, I really, when they started to talk about the new Doctor, and I'm not going to make this about Doctor Who, but I was like, well, it'll be interesting. And then, they bring in, oh my gosh, I can't say his name properly.
Chris Chibnall?
No.
New Doctor?
The new Doctor.
Ncuti Gatwa.
Yeah. I've watched the Netflix show that he's in that was produced.
He he played a character in Grid Legends named Valentine Manzi, and that was from my exposure. And you cannot deny Gatwa has a lot of charisma.
Yeah, he does.
A whole lot of charisma.
But then, like, it sounds like they're diving deep into, and it's some of the stuff that we've been kind of calling out, to the exclusion of entertainment, but we won't know. I mean, Dan, do you have any insight there or no?
I do have a little insight. I mean, I can say that I've never seen Sex Education, and I was tempted to go and watch it right away because that's something that Doctor Who fans tend to do. We want to go and find out everything about these new actors. So I was tempted to do that. And then I thought, no, actually, I won't. Because I think this man has enormous potential.
Yeah.
A great charisma. I feel better about Doctor Who at the moment than I have since Matt Smith took over. I think he's very similar to Matt Smith in that he's an actor who has done stuff and been successful, but wasn't a name. And so I've decided not to go and watch Sex Education, but I have seen a trailer for that game that Mac was just talking about, where Shooty is using his Glaswegian accent. He's playing somebody who is aggressively masculine.
Yes.
And from what I hear, a world away from the character in Sex Education.
Yes.
So I can believe that this is a man with, firstly, what's important to mark him out from the person who is just finishing playing the role, Jodie Whittaker. Ncuti Gatwa seems to have considerable range, a lot of range as an actor, which already puts him considerably higher up as terms of potential to reach that character than she ever could, and hasn't. She's had 4 years to do it and hasn't. So I believe in this man. I have to place a little bit of faith in the team that have put him into that role. It's going to be it's still a year and a half until we see him properly, until the season starts. So we may get to see him on screen in around a year. So it's a long, long time to wait. It depends on what you mean by insight. I mean, I could talk about Russell T Davies till the cows come home, because there's a lot of people on this side of the culture war aisle who've kind of got him wrong. Is he woke? Yeah, he is woke, but there's a little more to him than that. A lot of writers are woke. I'd say most writers are actually probably fairly woke, and actors for that matter. But I think Russell T Davies is a more layered character than that. He is quite erratic at the moment. He's getting older, getting grumpier, which it does mean that he's more of a random element than before. But I will caution that the interviews that make the websites we talked earlier on a little bit before the show, Culture, about how there's always a story behind a headline. I think increasingly, as the culture war has raged on, it's become more and more about the headline, and they've made each and every headline that bit more misleading than the last. So I've seen, for example, Russell T Davies, who's returning to showrun Doctor Who. He's the bloke who's cast Ncuti Gatwa. He's the man who chose him. I've seen him give hour-long interviews about a whole range of topics, about not just about Doctor Who, but about writing, about all manner of things. And websites, we know that all those websites are owned by the same two companies, and they're all left-leaning. So they will latch on to particular things that he's said and make huge deals out of that, which will then set us off over this side of the cultural aisle. That it's gone woke, it's gone, and they'll ignore the other 52 minutes that Russell T Davies said explaining something else. So I do think that it can be a little misleading. I don't know. Will it be woke? Will it be this? Will it be that? I tell you what, whatever they come out with, whatever screens in 2024 with Doctor Who, it's unlikely that you or I will 100% love it. But I tell you, I can promise you, it's going to be compelling genre drama. It's going to feel like Doctor Who again. It's going to be watchable. It's not going to bore us. It's not going to bore the pants off us, which at the moment will be a major step up. So yeah, I mean, I could talk about it till the cows come home, but I won't, Dominic.
No, I wanted to ask you this. Because I know that one of the biggest trepidations that people have for the new Doctor is not Ncuti Gatwa, but the fact that the people who want to come back, they're hoping that Russell T Davies can at least do the fans a solid and retcon a specific episode that basically destroyed
Time with Children.
Yeah, the Time with Children.
I think that's a portion of it, Mac. But I think there's a more fundamental want that people want of the upcoming era, is that certainly in Great Britain, where it's a huge cultural thing, people want to be able to sit down and watch it with their kids again. And it's genuinely that simple. All the other stuff, because the timeless children's stuff, which has destroyed the history of the show, no two ways about it. But the saving grace of it is, by the time the showrunner put that material on screen, there was hardly anybody left watching the show anyway. So nobody really knows about it. The people who watched it, we'll never forget it. We want to scrub our eyes and our minds clean of it. But over here in Britain, and I know the figures, the ratings on BBC America, you could probably fit the amount of people who watch Doctor Who now on BBC America, you could probably fit them all into one small branch of McDonald's. There's that few of them.
Well, I think you should ask them also, like, who over there is watching the old ones, because that would just blow through the roof, because there are, the Doctor Who fans still exist. It's just like they love Doctor Who up until that,
I think they're in a place, AFK, where they've got to weigh up how much screen time do we waste throwing out a disclaimer to material that A, wasn't very good, and B, nobody saw anyway. That's the balancing act. I'm not saying they will. I'm not saying they won't. But I don't think and this is my final point on this. But it won't be a priority for them. They have to get that show back on track. They have to get people back in front of the screens and invested in what's going on week to week. Doctor Who may have a continuing lead that is the same character, two leads, a doctor, one companion, ideally. But apart from that, it's an anthology show, really. It changes up every week. So they're not going to want to get too bogged down in any kind of mythology stuff, whether it's deconstructing what some clown has put on screen in the last couple of years, or anything else. They're going to be concentrating on reminding people why they like that show in the first place.
Yeah, and that's a real shame, and that's kind of brings us to here with this conversation about this terrible She-Hulk show, which terribly underperforms. Because remember, Doctor Who was the hottest thing 2016, 2015, 2016 Comic-Con here in the States, and San Diego Comic-Con. It was bananas. It was bonkers. And then now, how many years later? 7 years, 8 years later, it's completely there. It's not a touchstone anymore.
And a lot of it, a lot of it's blamed on Chris Chibnall, and the first female doctor played by Jodie Whittaker, who we lovingly call Dr. Karen.
There we go.
It's a lot of I had to go there.
You do that as well as Gary does, Mark.
It makes you wonder why. We've seen all that, and Doctor Who is now, obviously, that's coming to a close. We don't know what's coming next exactly, but we know that that's coming to a close. The production was shut down. The show was cancelled. It was axed. I've said this on the show. People out there on Twitter get very angry when I say this, but I do know this happened. Her contract wasn't renewed, and Chris Chibnall was fired, allegedly. I have that from 3 sources. Chris Chibnall was fired. And so it had to get that bad. So looking across to the MCU, with DC, we've seen David Zaslav come in and cut away all this dead wood, be ruthless with the axe, bringing it down on a movie that cost $90 million, was it, Batgirl? It needs figures like this to come in, start kicking ass, taking names, and making the difficult decisions.
But I think it will get to the point. I think I'm glad you kind of brought up the MCU, because I do get to the point where, is it going to get to that Doctor Who level of unorganization to where Kevin Feige, who's been at the helm for years since its inception, who has made it the powerhouse it is he morphing into a Chris Chibnall to where he may be fired if a certain film goes so bad on both
there'll be a limit.
The fans, there's a limit. Yeah,
there will be, because again, I mean, okay, so think what you will of She-Hulk, right? And I think little, right? But I thought I thought, despite the praise that Rogue One got, I thought it was a passable Star Wars like film.
It's a fair point.
I can have people mad at me for that.
It's the best of the Disney era, and it's sad that's a shame.
but that's a lot of qualifiers to like put in line there. And so when you look at this show where She-Hulk again is underperforming, it's overperforming Andor, the series premiere, mind you, this show released with 3 episodes, right? So I want to know if that's I want to know with these numbers if that is the case. And according to the first line in this article, a new report just confirmed more viewers watched She-Hulk Attorney at Law than Andor's 3-episode premiere. So one 20-some minute episode of She-Hulk outperformed 3 episodes of Andor.
And if this continues forward, it's, everybody the heads up, Chapek, everybody the heads up, they may have to go full, Zaslav on Disney Plus if they continue to produce, shows with I don't mean shows with not just a lukewarm reception, but shows that are falling under the radar and not getting the viewership that Disney Plus desperately needs right now.
Yeah.
I think what you said earlier on AFK is true, though. There's a lot of people hate watching She-Hulk, or word is getting around. Have you heard about this show? Have you heard how awful it is? And people think, it can't really be that bad. And so they are going to check it out. I can't see if that's going to keep up for 9 weeks. I suppose you said 9, didn't you, Culture? 9?
I think it's 9 weeks. Yeah, I thought it was 8, and then somebody corrected me the other day and said, no, there's 9 episodes, because I'm like, there's only one more. Oh, there's 2.
I have doubts that this will even be greenlit for a second season. I don't know.
I think it might pull a Batwoman, because I think enough people are watching it.
What do you mean, get a second season out of spite?
Yeah. I think it's possible.
If it gets a second season out of spite, that's going to hurt Disney Plus even more, to be honest.
Well, it's just, look, you have a streaming service. You want to retain customers.
Exactly.
Is Disney Plus going to give out anything good? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
They aren't. See, Disney had this wonderful like treasure box of classics. They had this vault system where they would only release their films out to the general public. We've talked about this multiple
Disney
times.
Vault, yeah.
But they held value because they were so rare. There was a rare opportunity to buy it. It was a rare opportunity to see it. It would occasionally come back into theaters, and that rarity led to people really loving it. And now, if you're burping out something, and I'm saying it that way on purpose to make a point, if you're burping out something regularly that is of low quality, how long are you going to sustain interest in your products? And if all of that's available, and you're going to babysit your niece and nephew, or your kids need something to watch, you can put in a Blu-ray, you can put in a DVD, or you could set them in front of Disney Plus. But there's just not a lot new to offer there, and most people already have these films. I mean, the ones that up until recently. And Damaj and I is here, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you, man. I don't know. Like you said, they're going to have to put quality on the table, or people will stop subscribing to their service.
It's just, and I think that's the underlying theme that Kevin Feige and that the team and the team running the MCU, they forget that one of the things that made that 10-year journey become this cultural phenomenon that it was for film, was that there was quality behind it. And the quality is deteriorating the more they're putting stuff out during this phase. and it's the case, it's like the whole thing with, Bob Iger was talking about Star Wars fatigue. And it's like, no, it's not Star Wars fatigue. It's just you have low quality products. That's what I think we're seeing here, is that you're having an abundance of low quality products, in my humble opinion, that they're just churning out.
Quantity versus quality.
Yeah, it's quantity. It's focusing on quantity and just getting as much stuff out as possible.
You're right. Real quick, I'm going to get a couple super chats because we got a couple. I got to catch up because Pinochet's Helicopter Tours jumped in and said $5.
Pinochet's Helicopter.
I love it. I'm sorry.
He's had many other names. This is also known as Blue-Eyed Roof Curry in the Base. But just because you like something doesn't mean Disney shouldn't be severely financially punished for pushing ideology. I agree. It's unacceptable behavior, period. I agree. look, I'm not in favor of indoctrination. Extremes of any in any measure are almost always bad. And that's I'm sorry. I look, a lot of people, I don't talk a lot about it, but if you follow me on Comics Division over there, you all know I'm libertarian. I'm ruthlessly about liberty and freedom. I mean, that's bred into me, and so, on some things I'm quite conservative, on other things I'm quite liberal. And right now, the world's unfortunately divided in half, and I mean world, because I'm serious about that.
I've always considered myself to be a libertarian as well, even before I knew what libertarian meant.
I don't reveal my affiliations. I'm basically where culture is. Like, I'm like, I lean one way on certain things, but I lean the other way on certain things.
That's a nuance that's missing in society now. Is the
a healthy balance?
Yeah, you can be both. You can be both.
Yeah, but we'll get one more super that came in. Of course, this is from our good friend Ian, otherwise known as
that man.
I know that guy.
For £5 sterling, which remarkably is the same as $1 now. After you recently had a loss in your currency value. I'm sorry about that. I used to be for money. I used to enjoy getting pounds because they were much bigger than dollars, but oh well, alas. But for £5 says, have a coffee casino. Loving the stream. So much better and or what? See, that's the other problem that I had with what it was called. And or.
Terrible title for a TV show. There's no doubt about that. I think Ian's just a bit sore because I made him watch episode 4 this week from when I covered it on his Facebook.
Oh, really? Oh,
lost marketing.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy, Ian.
I love him. I'm going to get him back on the show. I'm kind of, but probably should have had you both on today if he was available. But look, real quick. I just want to say, because I want you guys to realize something. This is part of an article, or this is part of one of the videos I'm doing this week. This particular article, it's not in total, but because we have these companies that are quote unquote these data analytics companies like Whip Media, they're part of this new metric that we're going to talk about in the new video that I'm making. That's going to take me extra time. That's about the attention economy. And it looks like we're getting Makani in the stream.
Sorry about that.
Hey,
he's back. So just keep in mind, and again, this was inspired by our good friend Raquel, who tried to give people a brief education on this before. And I think it's something that we absolutely need to dive
this is Raquel from Clobby's channel. This was fascinating when she shared this.
Incredibly intelligent.
Yeah, she is an academic and a writer and just brilliant in several ways.
Yes, she is.
I'd never even heard of this until she drew my attention to it.
Yeah, and of course, Clobby, somebody's eating something. Oh, it's Makani getting set back up. All right. No, it's Clobby. Clobby's got great stuff happening on his channel, guys. If you're not checking out Clobbering Times, you're missing out, because like we were talking about earlier, before he even got here, his ears must have been burning. This is a comics expert he's forgotten more about comics than any of us could possibly consume. So he's amazing. Clobbering Times, so check him out. Yeah. Raquel is an amazing lady indeed. Yeah. So
I feel sad. I just feel sad right now because I see that related headline.
Oh,
I'm a big fan of The Force Unleashed, and I'm just sad it's not canon. So,
yeah, but okay. So again, Whip Media is an analytics company. So when we dive into this week on a video I'm doing, like I keep promoting it because it's taken me a long time. There will be some discussions about this because if you have a lot of attention around your show, even if nobody watches it, that's being utilized as currency now.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. It's a very perverted economic theory.
It's weird.
And it's weird. Speaking of weird, Eric K for $2. Thank you, Eric K. Good to see you, brother. Says Culture Casino is a heritarian. That's true.
Well, the thing is, they don't need our approval, and they don't even need our viewing time.
Right.
They want our data. Yeah. The more that the platforms merge, that the internet swamps all of the means of media, new media takes over, our data becomes more and more a commodity. We are a commodity. And so attention economy is a perfect way of summing it up. They're all fighting because there's only so much time any of us have. There's only so many people on the planet, only so many people who can be watching any platform at any given time. So they're fighting for that, and at the same time fighting for our data, which we know that they do trade.
And we can withdraw our attention and starve that out.
We can withdraw our data too, but it just takes. You just have to go through a painstaking process to do that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, first of all, you get a phone that you pay for cash, from somewhere. When you acquire the phone, then you get a different kind of service for it if you're going to attach it to anything. And you never attach it to anything that's actually personally tied to you unless you create it brand new.
Exactly.
I mean, there are a lot of steps that you have to go through to isolate yourself from your previous information. If you're actually trying to drop out and not be tracked and not be sold as a commodity, that is a lot of steps, So, Darcipia is like, you need to do a late night stream every week. I will be on the late night culture stream. Will be happening tonight or very early in the morning in the UK. I'm very much looking forward to that. So, and this is true. If it's free, you are the product, and that's that's exactly what Dan was saying, I think. And that's absolutely correct. But I guess my argument is starting to become even more clear when I say we need to take the wind out of their sails. We need to remove that. We can cover a thing, but I understand, because it feeds the algorithm just beating it into the ground. But that also has diminishing returns because, it sustains some of these things much longer than they would normally continue. But that's just an opinion.
Punch a hole through their sails. Yeah.
But wow, we got bots, which means we're having a successful stream, folks. So thank you for that.
I also bots.
All right, well, let's jump on to the next subject, and probably the last one we'll cover, because I find it interesting that I would say everybody on this panel is a Tolkien fan. Yes, or am I being presumptive?
Yeah, I count myself as a fan.
Well, wait, come on, Dan. You Lord of the Rings?
Well, I've never really read it, if I'm honest. So I would never claim to be a scholar.
You're in the same boat as me. So
The Hobbit was the first book that ever made me cry.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember I read it in 4th grade, and I got to the part where Bilbo is saying goodbye to Thorin or whatever, and I was bawling, and my mom's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "This book." She's like, "Then stop reading it." I was like, "That's not how you do it."
Or if you could be like Joey and Friends and put the book in the freezer, right?
There you go.
Okay, so you know what? I just did something I accidentally there. Friends is a show that's in the cultural zeitgeist, right? I mean, most of us, even if we didn't watch it, that's something everybody has.
The British equivalent is coupling.
Yeah, yes. Right. But my point is that's something everybody is roughly familiar with. So, and people go back and they watch that show again and again and again because it speaks to them. Even though the actors and actresses from that program might go back and say, well, I don't like the way we did this because it's very this-ist or this obic or whatever it is, right? Phobic of some sort. And people still go back and enjoy that entertainment, and they don't bring that context to it. Right? It's just these actors that are coming out later saying negative things, but that doesn't stop people from just going back and watching those shows time and time again. So people are willing to consume things on these streaming services, but they want to consume good things, even if it's old things.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe I'm drawing a parallel in a strange way, but I have one last thing that, again, I want to get to this because I like Lord of the Rings. Dan, did you see the films?
Love the films. Particularly, I like the Hobbit movies as well, despite their clear flaws. But the original 3 films are astonishing. Timeless, in fact.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody can repeat what Peter Jackson did, right? So I would you agree that it was folly for Amazon to try?
I wouldn't even say it was I wouldn't even be as generous as that.
Wow.
I believe it was extremely. No, I don't think it was a folly. I think it's shameless exploitation of an intellectual property that they found their way to prise open, to get into, and to destroy. I think they are. I know that we hear this phrase a lot, but in this instance, it all has to be absolutely all on caps. Cultural vandalism. It is absolutely shameful what Amazon have been allowed to do to the work of J.R.R. Tolkien, this scholar, this man this was this man's life's work. This wasn't just something that, he published a book about once in 1962 that did okay. This was something that is steeped in him, in a language, in a whole world, universe that he built stone by stone over a period of years. And they couldn't even keep an expert from the Tolkien estate, the Tolkien Society, to hand to help guide them. They didn't give an S about any of it. The timing of it, shortly after the passing away of Christopher Tolkien, that is no coincidence. I think this is absolutely disgusting. And the fact that they have delivered a show which is so generic, it's not standing out at all for any of the correct reasons. Just rub salt into the wounds. I think it really is the pinnacle of poor taste, exploitation, and people with no real conscience that I can see. I haven't seen it. Not going to. No.
Wow. You know what? That's a strong take. And then believe me, after the second episode, I was done. And I think a lot of people are, but they're still trying to prop this up. And this is a Business Insider article from day before yesterday, right? Because today's the second. So it says new viewership numbers are here for Amazon's Rings of Power. Here's how it compares to HBO's House of the Dragon. And they use the same flawed numbers that we've seen all over the place that don't include the linear television viewing as compared to streaming. And so when you add in the linear numbers, the House of the Dragon massively overcomes the Rings of Power show. They're talking about billions of minutes viewed for Rings of Power in 4 days, 1.25 billion. Well, they released 2 episodes that were all each an hour long. So that kind of adds artificially to the view time.
Also, the Game of Thrones was high on the list too, and I think that it really should be taken into account that a lot of the people rewatching Game of Thrones are doing it because of House of the Dragons. So I feel like those views should kind of be considered in some way too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. In this article, they say the thing we've been saying for a while: the Nielsen data doesn't paint a complete picture. So they're missing stuff. Right, just with the number of minutes streamed, because they've removed the linear television viewing, and there aren't a lot of nuances that we usually find in reporting. There isn't a lot of honesty that we find in reporting, and at least this article kind of draws this out, talking about the fact that there's a linear television portion of this, which makes the HBO show vastly more popular. So, so this is behind or right at where they had their 3-episode premiere for Wheel of Time with this Rings of Power show at 1.2. The 3 episodes at 1.16. The Boys only releases, or I guess this time they released 3 episodes for The Boys, but that had 949 million, minutes. And then Terminal List released all at once and did quite well. But when you compare all these numbers, the thing that's being ignored is that the linear television component was ignored, and that would have granted essentially 10 million more viewers overall. So,
as you say, selective, disingenuous reporting and commentary.
Yeah.
People who are all in pocket.
It is. It's incredibly frustrating. It's why It's why articles like that one frustrate me. It's why when I do the 6 Minute Daily, I read what I read, and then there's a decent chance I go down a rabbit hole trying to research it so that I can give a good summary beyond the headline, because I can write catchy things in the description. I can, say witty things occasionally, not obviously as well as you can, Dan, but I can do that and be funny. But at the same time, I want people to take away not just what the headline is, but what the actual meaning of the story is. And whether or not it's worthy of your consumption or not. Because there are times I tell people, go and read this article. It's good, and it's few and far between, but I do that, and I love doing that show. It's a lot of fun. This is interesting. Darcipia says YouTubers were calling Game of Thrones the GOAT until they turned on the show and called it pure trash. I think that the first several seasons,
the ending was pure trash.
I think the show isn't pure trash. The first few seasons were good. It's the same. Did you consume, Dan, the Game of Thrones?
Yes, a little later than everybody else, but again, a superb show of great quality, beautifully made. The acting was astonishing.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's that last... I know there's a lot of people that didn't like the penultimate season, but that wasn't the one that did the damage. It was the final season, the massive creative leaps that they made there. It destroyed the legacy of the show. It's quite astonishing, really. I mean, House of the Dragon, in my opinion, is a great show.
Yeah,
and it's good that people are giving it a chance.
Yeah,
it's great that it's finding an audience, and it's good that some people who had perhaps written off the Game of Thrones franchise are giving it the praise that it does deserve. But Game of Thrones itself will probably never really recover from that final season.
Right. I think you're right. I think that kind of cost the viewership a little bit. But unfortunately, and one of the reasons we're not going to go terribly much longer is Machini has to go and get his stream rolling here in just a few minutes. So Mach, tell everybody about the best girl here and what you're working on today.
I'd rather not tell, but show it.
All right.
Share my screen, please.
I did. Oh, did you share us? Oh, okay. All right. Here we go.
Not that one. No, hang on.
Oh, okay.
No, just
it was there for a second.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
Right.
I'd rather not tell it, but I'd rather show it. If I
Look
can
at
get
these
it
bots. What is going on today?
All right. I got my screen up.
All right. Is this copyright free?
You know what? I'll mute it just for you. Yes, but to play fair, I'll just mute it just for you. How about that?
Okay. All right. This looks cool, dude.
I can't raise it, but yeah.
Oh, is this the new? This is the new one, huh?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. It's.
That goes well with the theme you were saying, talking about.
Well, now I feel bad because there's no sound. This is going to be like this.
You know what? Think of it like a silent film. A silent film, because that's actually what I went for.
Subtitles under the numbers with numbers.
I know, right? But after 5 long weeks, we are officially back. Yeah, I see. I did the whole thing.
That's nice.
I did the whole thing.
Good job.
I like that as black and white. Yes, sir.
So yeah, after 5 weeks, I am so happy to be back. And
look at that.
Yeah, see, I did a whole silent film, old Hollywood style. But yes, we're getting on 12:30 right after this, and I am so very see if I did with full film roll there. But yeah, I'm very proud of this intro and outro. I even have an outro that continues the whole. That's like very like it's the same way with the whole I Love Lucy Desilu Productions kind of style with the Hollywood style to it. I did it as a film reel. I did
it's beautiful.
That's the StreamYard background.
Nice job.
I am very excited to be back after 5 weeks. Of course, this is officially the first Machini Live that is This is the first season post monetization,
Wow.
and with channel members. So you guys are gonna have to watch the whole way through because I will shout out my channel members and such. It's gonna be busy for me moving forward, and I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of just being back. And this is going to be exciting. This is like a whole new experience for me.
Congratulations, mate. Well done.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Anyway, I'm going to get going. Yes, right after the Sunday Culture Review is the return of the greatest Sunday afternoon art show on YouTube. Marketing Live.
It's awesome, and he's got great creators that joins him. You got so many folks that are creative in here. Bruce Lombardo came rolling through here today.
Bruce Lombardo, Mads Bear, and hopefully this season we'll have plenty of guests. I'm glad Dimaj and I rolled through. I need to get him on the show someday. Yes. He's always busy. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and see you guys over there. Thank you so much for being here, Dan. It's a pleasure to meet you, my friend. Everybody, I love you guys all. I'll see you over on Marketing Live. Much love, everyone.
Thanks, man. Yeah, Mock's awesome.
Good guy.
Joker Voice just rolled in. Joker Voice was in the Midnight's Edge stream. I believe that was the member stream that was going on. But look, we're getting ready to wind down. I want Dan to get another shot at promoting what he does because it is just look. I mean, I always feel like I get people on, they're completely undersubbed. You should have 35,000 people watching you, my friend. So
Thank you.
And that's not hyperbole. I've every time I've been able to catch your show, and I oftentimes, or one of them, I oftentimes will not say anything in a chat because I'm usually working on something. And I say this a lot, but like I'll be there, right? And if somebody like accidentally put @CultureCasino in there, it might catch me, like it might auto-populate, and then they know I'm there. But
I think because of the time that we go out, we get a lot of people in the States who are working. We get a lot of people who watch us when they're sat on the toilet. We get a lot of that. I don't know why people do tell us as well. I don't know why they tell us, but they insist on it. So we get a lot of that. Yeah, we get a lot of people with the old stomach trouble. But apart from that, we get a lot of dedicated Doctor Who fans because obviously there's a lot of Doctor Who content there on the Spacebook channel. There's Type 40 Live, which is a Doctor Who podcast. New episodes drop usually every other Tuesday. And then there's Type 40 Live, which we run every Thursday evening, says the man. It's on a mid-season break at the moment. We're back in 2 weeks' time. We're preparing at the moment for the departure of Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Dr. Airhead. We won't miss you one moment, but we're planning a big live show to wave goodbye to Dr. Karen. Of course we are, and to look forward to the future. But yeah, we'll be waving her off in style with a great big raspberry and all our friends live on the Spacebook channel. So if you love Doctor Who, classic, new Doctor Who, and if you've got a lot to say about Doctor Who, you want to hear other people talking about it incessantly, come and find us on the Spacebook for Type 40. But we do talk about other things now and again, I promise. So you get movies, TV, comic books, all that sort of thing with myself. Ian David Diaz, the mega geek, who's got a film on Netflix at the moment called Bad Day. Go and catch that. We get together, we talk about everything outside of the TARDIS on the Spacebook Live. Thanks for the plug, Culture. That's
I'm glad you can join us. We've been trying to get this together for a bit, and I'm just glad
to come back.
Wow, you're welcome. Like you said, there might be a small shift in the way we do things here, but I'm still intending to do wonderful panel shows with great creators like yourself. So thank you for joining us today. It's an honor. It's an honor to have you.
My pleasure, mate. My pleasure.
And of course, we have the regulars here. We have the Mirasphere with the Mini Sphere, and there he is. What's going on? You're muted, my man. You're muted.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, people are talking. Yeah, but hey, check out my book. Here, this is it. Mirasphere Origins of Darkness Rises. And the link's in this. And then we'll just hopefully have a great time. And Doctor Who is pretty good. And yeah, see you later.
Yeah, of course. And finally, last but not least, AFK Bard, who usually promotes very little, but should promote the channel. You should do something again. Talk to Ian. You two should do something together. You're great together.
Well, the issue is that I've just been computerless forever, and that's how I was doing streams. So it's I can't really set anything up with my phone at the moment. So it's just kind of been out the door. But eventually, I'll get back to doing stuff when I have a working computer. So let's just say one day. There you go. Oh, and make sure you sub to everybody here, buy books, check out Doctor Who things, watch culture stuff during the week, the usual.
Yeah. And then, of course, you know what? Gilkman, I hope you had a good time. I think I figured out you were at Coney Island, but I could be wrong. Because the Gilkman was sharing his adventure this week. Did you see that, AFK?
Oh, yeah. He's got some fun pics.
Yeah. He does some great stuff. I'm glad he could stop by. But with that, I will honor this for a moment. Ding dong, the witch is dead. The witch, old witch, the wicked witch. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead. Not quite. Don't we have a gosh? What do you call it now? There used to be the Christmas specials. It's the holiday special now.
Well, I heard that they didn't even record her actually changing because they just ended it so abruptly. So I'm kind of curious as to what they're going to do with this.
Yeah, Dan, please.
They call them the festive specials because we're not supposed to say Christmas on the BBC anymore in case people get offended by the idea of Christmas.
Oh.
But yeah, it's a long story. I mean, originally they filmed half of a regeneration, but as I understand, the other half was filmed. Jodie Whittaker will regenerate into somebody else in that special, and it's probably going to be somebody who's played the part before. But yeah, that's as I understand it. So yes, that's it'll be a surprise to no one, or I suspect, but that's coming on October the 23rd, I believe. So yeah, it couldn't really get any worse. So I guarantee that Doctor Who will get better, but that's about all I can guarantee.
BYOB to your next party.
Yeah. Hey, Gilkman, I probably will be talking about the Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Deadpool 3 news on the late night culture stream this evening. So if you're still awake, which you probably won't be because you're a working man, but if you are, check out the late night culture show very early in the morning for the UK, by the way. For those of you in across the pond, and
I'll take a look.
And with that, I'd like to say thanks to everybody here, especially the panelists, especially Dan, who again just look for more of that amazing voice, go to the Spacebook.
So many compliments. I'll definitely come again. Thank you.
All right, very good. Again, I'm trying to do my best Andre here from Midnight's Edge, and with that, we have to end the show. So everybody have a great day, and the rest of your weekend, be sure to check out Makini's stream if you can. Wait a couple minutes over there and give him the support he needs. And I hope to see all of you tonight, or as many of you who can make it. That's what I hope for.
Cheers, everybody. It's been a fun hour and a bit. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye then.
Cheers.